Breaking news mga kabayan, 8 Chinese na nagpapanggap ng mga mangingisda sa South Korean waters, arestado. 2 oras na naghabulan sa dagat ang isang speedboat na sakay ang 8 Chinese at barko ng South Korean Coast Guard. Sa tindi ng tensyon, nahulog ang isang Chinese sa dagat at gumamit pa ng helicopter ang otoridad ng South Korea. Chinese reserve sa baho di Masinloc, walang epek sa mga Pilipino. Mangingisda tuloy ang kanilang pangingisda sa lugar at tuloy din ang operasyon ng BFAR at Philippine Coast Guard sa area kahit nagbanta pa ng live fire exercise ang People's Liberation Army Navy. Senador ng Amerika nagsasagawa ng investigasyon sa tangkang pananakop ng China sa baho di Masinloc.
He announced a new national nature preserve at the Scarbrough shoal that would create a protected area around a whole coral reef ecosystem. Philippine officials have called this another PRC land grab.
Gobernador ng Bataan ay nakipagulong kahapon sa mga kinatawan ng Lockheed Martin para sa industrial and defense collaboration upang talakayin ang kanilang panukala patungkol sa F-16 aircraft at ang posibilidad ng pagtatayo ng pasilidad at paggawaan ng mga F-16 at base sa lalawigan ng Bataan. 8 Chinese nationals ang hinuli ng South Korean Coast Guard sa isang napaka-intense na habulan sa karagatan ng South Korea. Isang speedboat na sakay ng 8 katao ang naglayag mula sa Wenhai sa eastern province ng Shandong. Sila ay nagpapanggap ng mga mangingisda kung saan may dala silang mga fishing rod at mga stocks ng pagkain. Matapos malaman ng mga otoridad ng South Korea ang hindi nagpakilalang bangkang dimotor, agad nag-deploy ng maraming assets ang South Korean Coast Guard. Bandang alas 11:30 ng gabi, matinding habulan sa dagat ang nangyari na kinakailangan pang mag-deploy ng helicopter ang South Korea upang harangin ang sinasakyang speedboat ng 8 Chinese national. Isa sa mga Chinese ang nahulog sa dagat sa kalagitaan ng pursuit operation. Kalaunan sila ay nahuli din bandang 1:43 ng madaling araw. Ang speedboat at ang 8 Chinese ay pinusasan at dinala sa South Chongcheon, province ng Republic of Korea. Plano ng South Korean Coast Guard na sampahan ng kasong paglabag sa immigration control ang 8 Chinese nationals.
8 Chinese nationals were caught by the Coast Guard last night while trying to sneak into Korea by leisure boat near Taeyon.
A leisure boat speeds through Korean waters. A Coast Guard patrol ship catches up and orders it to stop, but the boat keeps going.
The unidentified vessel is being continuously ordered to stop and is currently being pursued.
At about 11:40 p.m. last night, 8 Chinese nationals attempting illegal entry by leisure boat were detected in waters near Gaedo, off Taeyon, South Chungcheong. Working with the military, the Coast Guard pursued the boat with aircraft, 8 patrol vessels, and 2 additional patrol boats, apprehending them after 2 hours. During the inspection, one of the Chinese fell into the sea and was rescued after 30 minutes, causing a commotion.
Get them! Get them!
The Coast Guard is investigating the circumstances behind their attempted illegal entry.
Sa ibang balita naman, si Gobernador Garcia ng Bataan ay nakipagpulong kahapon, ika-9 ng Oktubre taong kasalukuyan sa mga kinatawan ng Lockheed Martin para sa Industrial and Defense Collaboration upang talakayin ang kanilang panukala patungkol sa F-16 aircraft at ang posibilidad ng pagtatayo ng pasilidad ng paggawaan ng mga F-16 at basil sa lalawigan ng Bataan. Kaugnay nito batay sa inilahad na panukalang ng Lockheed Martin na naayon sa kanilang Industrial Collaboration Framework. Sa pamagitan ng nasabing proyekto, libo-libong high-value jobs ang malilikha, patatag ang local manufacturing ecosystem at mapapatibay ang advanced technology sa probinsya ng Bataan kapag ang Lockheed Martin ang magsusupply ng mga multi-role fighter sa Pilipinas. Sa ibang balita naman, Chinese reserve na sinasabi ng China hindi umubra sa Pilipinas dahil patuloy at tuloy-tuloy ang ginagawang pangisda ng mga Pilipino at pagbibigay ayuda ng gobyerno ng Pilipinas sa mga Pilipino sa baho di Masinloc. Naglunsad ang Chinese Navy ng babala na magsasagawa ito ng live fire exercise sa area ng baho di Masinloc upang sindakin ang mga mangingisda pero hindi natinag ang mga Pilipino sa mga pananakot ng China. Tuloy ang kanilang pangingisda sa lugar habang ang mga barko naman ng Philippine Coast Guard at BFAR ay nakabantay lang sa mga kababayan nating mga Pilipino. Sa ibang balita, Senado ng Amerika nagsagawa ng investigasyon para matulungan ng Estados Unidos ang Pilipinas sa issue ng pangaras, pangbubuli at itong tangkang pananakop ng China sa Scarbrough show. Napag-usapan din ang muntika ng pag-invoke ng Mutual Defense Treaty. Buti na lang ay pawang mga barko ng China ang nagbanggaan malapit sa baho di Masinloc. Inilatag ng bawat saksi ang kanilang mga kaalaman kung paano matutulungan ng Amerika ang kanilang kaalyado sa kinakaharap nitong agresyon mula sa China.
He announced a new national nature preserve at the Scarbrough shoal that would create a protected area around a whole coral reef ecosystem. Philippine officials have called this another PRC land grab. Could you just briefly walk through the impact of this designation and how it relates to a broader pattern of lawfare tactics designed, again, below the threshold of military aggression to expand PRC control in the South China Sea?
Yes, Senator Coons, this is a great question. And I think, as most of us know, the PRC campaign for Scarbrough Shoal really began in 2012 when it basically took effective control of access to Scarbrough Shoal. And then last year, actually, early in the year, what we saw was kind of a remarkable sequence of events. There was an expansion of Chinese paramilitary activity, and I classify China Coast Guard and Maritime Militia as a paramilitary force, in part because I think it's very important for us to realize that we don't have a paramilitary force, which is part of why we don't have a good response to these assets. So they began to deny Philippine access in a much more aggressive way early last year. They also sent in a scientific expedition to take a look at the condition of the shoal. And two things happened. One is that they immediately banned their giant clam harvesting fleet, which all disappeared around June of last year, indicating that they probably found out that giant clam harvesting, which is extraordinarily destructive, had done great damage to the shoal. And second, they issued a report that said the condition of the shoal is great. So we then saw they also established straight baselines around the shoal, essentially marking it out as territory. And so this establishment of a nature preserve is sort of an environmental overlay onto that, essentially land grab at this point. So we can see all of these things working together: the establishment of effective control, the lawfare, the administrative control, all of these things, and the denial of Philippine access. And in fact, Senator, I will also say that the collision that we observed in August was in part a result of this establishment of effective control, because the Philippine ship that got in close to the shoal, I think, got in a lot closer than China expected, which was what drew in the destroyer, which almost caused that mutual defense treaty triggering event that we all fear. So it's part of a larger campaign. And one last thing, just on top of what Mr. Singleton has said about Taiwan and what we've all been talking about. I'm one, because I've been looking at this in the South China Sea so long, I don't actually expect to see a large-scale quarantine or blockade or anything like that. I'd be more afraid of what would start happening if all of a sudden China announced that it was going to enact a new safety regime for LNG ships inbound to Taiwan and begin to, say, turn around one and then maybe another one. And again, that would be much more in line with the ICAD kind of campaign that they've been waging.
I agree with you that, look, we need to plan for and prepare for the possibility of a full-scale invasion of Taiwan. But doctrine, history, preparedness, risk aversion strongly suggests that they're much more likely to engage in the kind of creeping, steady, aggressive behavior that you were just describing, and that allows them to assert sovereignty over a greater and greater area of the region. I'll ask.
Laban Pinas.